Hi, this is Alex Cosper for SacTV.com for another Riverside Chat here at the American River in Sacramento. And today I want to talk about nature and technology, how they go together sometimes and go against each other sometimes. But I'm glad to live in a world of nature and technology. Some people kind of flood their world with just technology, and they escape nature and they think that they're getting ahead that way, but I think that's the opposite of the truth. I think that you got to find a balance between nature and technology. Right now I'm using technology to record this interview, and I like that idea because it preserves ideas forever, maybe. And, you know, it can always take people on a journey somewhere if they've never been there before. So, you know, I was wondering about all these wildfires that we've had in California. That's always national headlines. I don't know how much people care outside of California, but it does make national news when we have these big wildfires, usually in forests, but sometimes they can burn down a small town that's surrounded by trees. And that happened with Grizzly Flats. It was a gold mining town that started in 1851, but in August 2021, all it took was a fire to burn that whole thing down in 15 minutes. The town of, like, it destroyed 600 homes. Unlike the Camp Fire of 2018, that was like the deadliest fire in a century for California. And that, you know, wiped out the town of Paradise. Like, a lot of people had to evacuate and just move somewhere else because that whole town got burned down, or a lot of it did. And like over 80 people got killed in that fire. And that's why when they found out that it was technology that caused that fire, not nature, PG&E was found to be liable, and they actually had to plead guilty to, like, you're like, what, 84 deaths? So they had to plead guilty to 84 felony counts. Literally, they're a corporate felon. And then they went bankrupt. You know, Governor Newsom demanded that they, you know, help out their customers and not gouge their customers, and to fix their technology, to upgrade their technology. See, what happened is PG&E, they were into paying their, you know, top execs all along just tons of money, instead of investing that money in new infrastructure that would be safer for modern times. So it's all old stuff, and so these power lines fell down, and that's what caused the fire. When a power line breaks, it creates these arcs of electrons that jump from one piece of the cable to another, trying to, you know, just trying to stay in a circuit, but really those sparks that it causes can start a fire. So out of the 10 worst wildfires in California, in, say, like recorded history, it turns out that 6 of them were caused by nature. It was because of lightning. And then the other 4 were man-made. 2 of those because of power lines. 1 because of PG&E with the Camp Fire in Paradise. And then another was Southern California Edison, in some place in Southern California. So nature and technology. Yeah, nature can cause more damage sometimes than technology. But see, we can control technology and the dangers that come with it by making it safer technology. And that's what consumers should demand, safer technology. I think any car maker is vulnerable to making flawed vehicles, maybe not, maybe in a run of 10,000 vehicles, some of them are going to have defects. So, but when you start having thousands of recalls, and sometimes it's just for trivial stuff, it doesn't matter. You still have to be aware that technology isn't perfect. Nature, on the other hand, is perfect within its own realm. In other words, nature does what nature expects it to do. Nature doesn't need permission from technology or people or anybody to to do what it does. Whereas when we create technology as humans, we kind of have to be careful with nature, because there's ways of people getting hurt, like in mining, the mining industry. A lot of people get hurt from that, from the blasts, and from all the cancer that comes from, like just that process. So oil company people, people who drill for oil, they have a higher risk of cancer. So technology has risks that come with it, health risks, no matter how you're extracting whatever from the environment. I just think everyone needs to be more aware of it, because big, dumb media does not make us aware of it. In fact, they want us to be more... They want us to be less aware of nature, I think. They want you to be glued to the tube, which is cutting you off from the outdoor world. And they want you to be glued to the tube so they can bombard you with all the advertising, which is their real agenda. And they'll take money from anyone, apparently. Back in the 50s and 60s, they took money from tobacco companies. That's why there's a lot of cigarette ads on TV, and cancer was, going up. But luckily, when they yanked the ads off TV, people kind of stopped smoking, and plus they raised taxes on cigarettes. So, cigarettes are like a technology, and big dumb media was there to promote cigarettes in the beginning. Like they've been around since the middle of the 19th century, or maybe even before that, but I mean like mass-produced cigarettes, started becoming popular kind of in the late 1800s. And then women. This is how big dumb media fooled women. A guy named Edward Bernays, who's called the father of modern public relations. And big media outlets still use him as their Bible for brainwashing. And consumers don't really know about this. Some do. People who study history know. But Edward Bernays, first he worked for the government in a propaganda role of creating propaganda during World War I to get people behind the war. And he also worked with presidents, several presidents, like Wilson through Nixon, to advise them on their campaigns, and their public image. So he was a public relations consultant. So Edward Bernays in the 1920s, he got women to start smoking. It was uncommon for women to smoke prior to the 1920s, smoke cigarettes. But he was able to get them to do it because he linked it. He used his dark psychology to link the women's movement, which was a rising populist movement for women, for like 8 straight decades of growth in that movement, culminating with women getting the right to vote in 1920. Well, he used that whole movement to link it with cigarettes, and he had ads in magazines showing women, like a crowd of women. And this is like a staged media event as well. I talked about staged media events last time. Well, Edward Bernays was king of staged media events. He was the guy who dreamed up some of the most biggest ones in history. One of them was women adopting Lucky Strike as their cigarette because they saw the ad of a crowd of women holding Lucky Strike cigarette in the air and calling it torches of freedom. And it worked. That ad campaign worked, and cigarette sales blossomed, especially among women throughout the 20s and 30s. And of course, the tobacco creeps who own the tobacco companies were big time profiters. And then it kind of peaked in the 80s for them. You know, even the medical association, the American Medical Association, finally stopped investing in tobacco stocks in the early 1980s. But they were part of it. They would run tobacco ads in their journal, the Journal of the American Medical Association, called JAMA. Yeah, they ran tobacco ads in it. This is supposed to be a health journal. Now, are humans the only ones who create technology? No, because you can think of how bees, birds, and spiders create things, like bees create their honeycombs. That's an amazing accomplishment when you see how they do that. And then birds create nests, and that's pretty amazing. And then they do it with their beaks, of course. And then spiders create webs. So it's not just humans, but you know, most of when we think of electronic technology, then yeah, that's all made by humans, and it's usually made under the premise that it's a capitalist investment. In other words, it's someone comes up with the idea, and then they hook up with a business person who has the capital to fund it. And then you attract more investors, and then the product is developed into a prototype. And if that goes well, then you could, you know, thanks to 3D printers, which are state-of-the-art modern technology, you can make lots of different prototypes now at a low cost and test out all kinds of new technology. So yeah, technology keeps getting more amazing in that sense that humans are becoming more and more empowered to create better technology. But that doesn't always mean technology keeps getting better. Like I notice on the internet, technology isn't getting better as far as social media. Their algorithms are getting worse. You know, video sites, their algorithms are getting worse when they're bombarding me with ads I don't need to see or want to see. It's wasting my time and lowering my opinion of them, thinking they're worse than TV. TV wasn't that bad with their interruptive advertising throughout history. I don't watch it much anymore. That's kind of like what Mark Zuckerberg will tell you. He doesn't watch much TV. He's amazed that a lot of people still watch TV. I just saw him in an interview with Joe Rogan, and that's an interesting interview. But I don't think Mark Zuckerberg really knows where AI is going. It sounds like he's got a lot of ideas about it, the way Elon Musk will just rattle off ideas. But AI is nowhere near where they're trying to paint it to be yet. And a lot of it's just hype to hype up their stock prices. But yeah, the stock market is a bunch of trendy, hypey, roller coaster series of trends, kind of like pop music, songs and trends, you know, artists come and go. It's like that. Technology comes and goes. Not everything that comes stays. Technology can keep taking certain people further and further toward their destination and dreams. But I think it does leave a lot of people behind when they become glued to their tube and they're stuck on television technology. The great thing about computer technology is it's interactive, and that allows you to use your brain. Your brain needs to be active, just like your body. You should be exercising every day, because it's, you know, that use of brain power exercising every day, the right diet, staying close to foods that come from Earth, not technology. Processed foods have been linked to all kinds of health problems. I think a positive mindset, no matter what happens, no matter how much, turmoil comes from this big machine, this big dumb machine that runs society. Each of us as individuals have to maintain our own self-worth and happiness. And happiness, this is an interesting tip I got from a video on hypnosis. It was actually a guy from the intelligence world talking about how he uses hypnosis on people, and many times in positive ways. And that is, use the past to create dopamine for the present. Now that's nature, okay? The technology part of that is, okay, dopamine is a chemical, but it's already in your brain. And you, as the technician or technologist, is going to activate that dopamine to create a feel-good sensation by using the past, just great memories from the past. It could be music, it could be movies, or whatever turns you on. And use that for dopamine of the present. That way, if you're, walking at the river, you could go anywhere and have that tool within yourself to stimulate happiness whenever you need it. Because we're all part of the past, present, and future. And that's why I'm writing a book and an album, both called Time Tunnels. And I'll tell you more about that in the future as we meet again for another Riverside Chat.